our next presentation this morning is from Dr. Wendy Wyatt, who is our Associate Vice Provost of Undergraduate Studies. And Dr. Wyatt's here this morning to talk with you about the unique value of your education at St. Thomas. So let's welcome Wendy.
Good morning, everyone. It's really lovely to see you. You might have heard a reference from the orientation leaders to St. Thomas as home, and maybe that gave some of the families in the room a little shiver. But whether you're commuting from across town or you're going to be living right up the sidewalk in one of the residence halls, on behalf of all of the faculty at St. Thomas, I am really pleased to welcome you home. For the next 4 years, you are going to be part of this incredibly special community of scholars. Now, I know you'll all have your own unique identities while you're at St. Thomas. We might have some athletes in the room, maybe some musicians, some journalists. Maybe some of you will be standing up here next year as orientation leaders. But you all are going to have the shared experience of being scholars. You have the opportunity to ask questions about things that matter, to ponder, reflect, debate, engage. This is a true gift, and we invite you to dive in headfirst. So what are we working toward in this community of scholars? These are the learning outcomes that we have for all of our students, and they're embedded within our mission statement, which begins with inspiration from Catholic intellectual tradition and ends with a commitment to advancing the common good. Now, I know there's a lot to take in on this slide, so if you focus just for a minute on the 3 areas in the middle that speak to us about what it means to think critically, act wisely, and work skillfully. Thinking critically is about what you will know, what you will learn while you're here. We're going to help further develop your reasoning and your critical thinking skills by helping you learn how to integrate knowledge across the many disciplines that you'll experience. We're also going to work to foster your curiosity and your creativity because you need those things in any discipline you pursue. Acting wisely is about who you are. Now, you come to St. Thomas with a fairly well-developed ethical compass, but we know from moral development theory that college years are hugely important in the further development of this area. So we want to help you along. We want to give you opportunities to engage as an ethical actor, and we want to introduce you to global and diverse perspectives that you may not have been familiar with up until now. Working skillfully is about what you can do. At St. Thomas, we want to give you both broad and deep skills. So you'll be prepared to work in an environment that is constantly changing. We'll also work to develop skills in collaboration, adaptability, and leadership, which are all what we would call those essential 21st century skills. So that's all a little bit abstract. Let me get more concrete for a few minutes. I love to talk to students about a St. Thomas education, and I often use the analogy of a stool that's held up by 3 legs. And as with anything that has 3 legs, you pull away one leg and the whole thing topples over. So the 3 legs of your St. Thomas education will be your core courses, your major courses, and your elective courses. Through the St. Thomas core curriculum, you will have the opportunity, and opportunity is a key word here, to take courses in 9 broad subject areas. These all introduce you to different ways of seeing the world, in different ways of making sense of it. They give you the opportunity to try out being a scholar through the lens of key disciplines in the liberal arts. Your major courses are where you take that deep dive, and you become a specialist in one, or maybe more than one, of more than 100 different subject areas. Now, some of you may know what you're going to major in right now, and I'm guessing everybody is asking you that question. The number 1 question, where are you going to college? Number 2, what's your major? If you know, that's great. We're here to help you through that path. My dad knew what he wanted to be when he was 9 years old, and he just recently retired as a 75-year-old from that very same discipline. That was not me, exactly. Some of you may think you know what you want to study, but once you get started, you're going to change your mind. That's okay too. Be open to that idea. I'm guessing that no one in this room has had experiences with all of the disciplines that we offer. And sometimes students arrive and they just open their eyes to something they had never thought about. Some of you may not know what you want to study, what you want to major in. And I know that can be a little bit uncomfortable because, again, everybody's asking, and probably some of your friends have really clear ideas. But let me say right now that that also is okay. That's what college is about, finding that path and figuring it out. And we have lots of ways to help support you in that journey. The third leg of your stool is your elective courses. Now, do I have any prospective engineers in the room? Yeah, how about teacher education, finance? Okay. I will admit to you right now that those are big majors. And so the third leg of your stool, that elective, is going to be a little thinner, but very strong. But we want to make sure that everybody has at least some chance for some free exploration, to try out something that isn't part of a requirement, that isn't part of our core curriculum, or that isn't part of our your major, or maybe something you want to dive in a little bit deeper to. So why do we approach our education in this way? Why do we care about three legs of a stool and thinking critically, acting wisely, and working skillfully? The reason is that this all matters when you think about the big issues, the big challenges of the day. And so I'm going to get even more concrete and give you a really specific example based on an issue I'm particularly interested in. And that's the rise of urbanization and the global movement of people from rural areas to urban areas. So by the year 2050, 3/4 of the world's population will be urban. That means more cities and more megacities. Megacities are cities with populations of more than 10 million people. In 1950, the world had 2 megacities, Tokyo and New York City. By 2010, that number was 27, and it's continuing to grow. Edward Glaeser is an economist at Harvard, and he says megacities are a big part of humanity's future. And that prospect should be both terrifying and exhilarating. So if we think about this idea of megacities and the challenges and opportunities they create, how would a St. Thomas education contribute to that? This, by the way, is Tokyo. Beautiful picture of one of the original megacities. Well, chemistry can help us address the vast energy needs of a megacity like Tokyo, and can help us think about how do we produce energy that will be sustainable and that can keep those cities lit for years and years to come. History reminds us that cities have shaped history. Cities have been the centers of the rise and the fall of empires and civilizations. If we think about psychology, it helps us understand the emotional and the mental needs of people who are living in very dense environments. And how can we design cities to help serve people's mental and emotional health? Theology gives us religious literacy. Megacities are populated by people from lots of different faith traditions. And we need to understand what those traditions share. Not just what the media say they share, but truly what they share and how they might be different. Math helps us look at megacities as complex systems. And math can model ways of constantly supplying those systems and getting those supplies out of those big systems as they continue to grow. And finally, English. English helps us imagine the perils and the possibilities. Through stories, we can get closer to the people of today's megacities and those of tomorrow. So all of the examples I just gave you represent courses that you may take as part of your core curriculum, or for some of you, part of your major. But this could be extended to really anything you could study. So you may be involved in a major that isn't part of the core, and you can do the very same thing. So here's my challenge to you. When you jump in on your first day of class, I want you to be intentional about looking for those connections, about asking those questions. How can my philosophy class contribute to what I'm learning in my marketing class? How can my economics class help me understand what's happening in my engineering class? Bring those multiple lenses that we're offering to you to the issues and the challenges that you'll confront while you're at St. Thomas. And then take it a step further and think about the issues and the challenges that you really care about. What problems do you want to solve? We're really excited that a little more than a year ago, we were named an Ashoka Changemaker Campus. We're one of about 46 universities around the world with this designation. And it means we bring social innovation to bear on society's problems, and we try to create sustainable solutions. We have people all over campus working on these sustainable solutions, and we want to invite you as students to join us in being a change maker. Now, I'm not going to, pretend that you might come to St. Thomas and by the time you leave, you will have alleviated world hunger. That might be a little bit idealistic. But if we're all working on small and substantive change, that change can add up into really big and important change. Now, you might be thinking, I love this, Wendy. I am all with you. I want to be a change maker. This is important. It's going to be meaningful to me as I move through my life, about the decisions that I make. Absolutely, sign me up. But what I really need when I leave St. Thomas, first and foremost, is, and this is the audience participation portion, what I really need when I leave St. Thomas is a job. It's true. I get it. As I was putting this presentation together, this is in my mind. We get it at St. Thomas. And I just want to say that these things matter to employers too. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people who hire our alums that the reason we like St. Thomas students is they're not only good at their technical skills, they're engineers who can build bridges and they're computer scientists who can write good code, but they're people who bring something else to the table. The kinds of things that you see listed on the screen that don't have anything to do with technical skills, but the things that are built through the kind of experience that you'll have here. All right. While I'm offering challenges, and while I'm changing my slide, there we go, I want to give you just a few more if you're with me still. I know you've been sitting for a little bit, but bear with me. This is my big chance before I see you again in September. Second challenge, open your mind. This is your chance to have worldview expanding experiences. You heard the orientation leaders talk about being surrounded by people with different backgrounds and different experiences, sometimes different beliefs. Listen to that. Take it all in. John Dewey, who's one of my most favorite American philosophers and educators, said, "It's only by subjecting our preferences and projects to the test of debate that we come to understand what we know and what we still need to learn." I love this quote. If you're ever in class with me, you'll probably see it on my syllabus. So that's challenge number 2. Challenge number 3 is to take full advantage. And by this I mean opportunities. And because I'm the professor, I want to talk about academic opportunities. Now, you can certainly work your way through St. Thomas just by going to class, checking off the items on your degree evaluation, and earning your degree. But if that's all you do, you're missing out on one of the biggest values that St. Thomas offers. And that's the opportunity for you as undergraduate students to do really interesting things outside of class. That might be getting engaged in undergraduate research. That might be taking part in an academic club or a competition. It might be serving as a mentor or a tutor. Please take this seriously, because when you leave, all of those experiences are going to give you a leg up. This is a screenshot from our Center for Student Achievement. And the center exists now as a group of partners that help students who are exploring majors and careers, who are seeking support, and who are looking to connect with opportunities. But we're really excited that we're going to have a physical transformation of the Center for Student Achievement over summer. And so when all of the students are in the building across the quad later this afternoon getting your course schedule, and you will get your course schedule for fall today, you'll be sitting in this room that we've fondly referred to as the Blue Lagoon for about 50 years. The Blue Lagoon is going away. The Center for Student Achievement will arrive. It's all going to happen in August, so get super excited for when you come back in September to see this brand new center. For now, you can check out the website, and you'll have a chance to talk to people from the center throughout the day. All right, challenge number, where are we, 4. Push yourself. Don't take the path of least resistance, even when it's going to be pretty tempting to do so. You've got to have that internal motivation. We as your faculty are going to be here to support you and to encourage you and to nudge you, but that push needs to come from you. You might think, oh, I would love to take that class. I've heard such great things about that class. Everybody says it's terrific, but it meets at 8 in the morning, and I hate getting up at 8 in the morning. Think about that longer-term gain. Okay, you may not love that alarm going off, but push yourself to take that class. You may hear about a class that's really tough. The professor really pushes his or her students, but it's so good. And you might be a little nervous to jump into it. But take advantage and push yourself. I don't think you'll be disappointed. All right, next, own it. This is really important. You've heard this before for those of you who are just finishing high school. College is different than high school. It's true. Yep. This is your degree. This is not your parents' degree. This is not your boyfriend or girlfriend's degree, or your older sibling's degree, or your high school mentor's degree. This is your degree, and you need to own it. You need to chart that path. You need to opt in when you need help. Again, you need to push yourself. We're here for you. We want to guide you, support you, but we're not going to just grab your hand and lead you through this. All right. Don't, please, for all the smarties in the room, be afraid to be the smartest one in the class. I've worked with a lot of first-year students, and I know that sometimes as you're meeting new people and you don't want to appear, too smart, you want to fit in, you are on an academic campus. You are surrounded by intellectuals and people who love the process of learning. Many of your professors, not all of them, I was not, but many of your professors were the smartest ones in the class. So don't be afraid to shine. You can use that smartness to help your peers as well. And this is equally important. Don't worry if you are not the smartest one in class. You all deserve to be here. And I can tell you with absolutely no doubt, and I've been here 15 years, that professors appreciate most students who are engaged in their education, students who care about what they're doing, students who are working hard and asking questions. Professors don't care if you're an A student or not. They just want to help you through this journey. I always pause on this slide because I think it speaks for itself. It's true. Sometimes it's going to be hard. It might be hard for academic reasons, or it might be hard for other reasons. If you find it hard for academic reasons, just remind yourself that it's okay. It's our job as professors to make it kind of hard. We don't want this to feel like high school. It needs to be different. So don't worry if it's hard. If any of you are interested, any of the faculty in the room can tell you about all the times we fail in our research. We write something, we put it out, we wait for it to get accepted to a journal, and most of the time, we get feedback that says, not quite there. Try again. So remember that if you find yourself in instances where you may be struggling. Sometimes it's also going to be a little uncomfortable. Think back to when I talked to you about expanding your worldview. We all come to different places with our own experiences, our own worldviews. We're in a skin that we've developed for 18, 19, 20, for me, 49 years. One of our tasks at college is to ask you to do some critical reconstruction on those assumptions. Ask questions about those assumptions. Interrogate them. Think in different and new ways. That's what critical thinking is really all about. And I will say that sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. I've had students say to me, man, that class blew my mind. That class rocked my world. But then they say it did it in a good way, even if it wasn't always just really comfortable. When it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, what I'm asking all of us in the room to do is to take care of each other. This is really important. If we want to be a vibrant, caring academic community, we need to look out for each other. You might have heard a reference to this notion of radical hospitality. You might have heard it today. You might be familiar with it through other things that you do in your life. That's what we're looking for at St. Thomas. The idea that everyone in the community truly cares for one another. We support each other. We celebrate each other's successes. We pick each other up when we stumble. What I'm asking is that all of you make a commitment to do that right here today. Okay, this is my last slide, and then students, you get up and move in a minute. So what do you do going forward? Today, think about what I said and try to take those ideas, those attitudes, and take them out into your orientation experience. You've got a lot to explore today, a lot to take in. Don't worry if it doesn't all sort of settle. You'll have a chance to hear it again. You're going to have a chance to meet a lot of people. Over lunch, you'll go to an information fair, and there will be people from all over campus standing at tables waiting to talk to you. And they really want to wait to talk to you. If you see someone standing alone, that person would feel really good if you would walk up and ask a question. If you don't have a question to ask, that's okay. You can say, hi, I'm Drew. What should I know about psychology? And they'll get going. These are academics. Between now and fall, do me a couple favors. Take a look at the undergraduate catalog. You can find it online. And pay particular attention to the stuff on academic policies. I will tell you it's not going to be the best reading that you'll have in college, but it's really important, and this goes back to that idea of owning it. You need to know policies about attendance and adding and dropping and all that really fascinating stuff, because you're going to be held accountable for those policies. You can also explore department websites. You can learn about the courses departments offer. You can learn about all the things departments offer for outside of the classroom. You can read about faculty. You'll know who your faculty will be for the fall, so you can read their little bios and be ready to meet them on September, whatever day we start. I'm not quite there yet. I'm still in July. Pay attention to your St. Thomas email. Yeah, I know you all love email. We can't get everything on an Instagram photo or a tweet. So email is still important, and you will have to do email right now out in the business world, so you can get used to it. Pay attention to it now, pay attention to it in the fall, pay attention to it for 4 years. And finally, enjoy the rest of your summer. It's gonna fly by, it's already flying by. For those of you who just finished high school or jumping into this college adventure, I remember the summer between my high school and college as being pretty terrific. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, it was pretty terrific. So enjoy it. And I will see you all, maybe today, the rest of the day, but for sure, on the Friday before Labor Day, to kick off Welcome Days. It's going to be fabulous. So thank you. Appreciate all of your attention and your participation, and I'll see you soon.